All right, get ready for this. Today we're going to connect a cutting-edge viral therapy all the way to the literal source code of reality. Yeah, you heard that right. It's a journey that starts inside a human cell and zooms out to the very fabric of the cosmos. So, let's dive right in.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at this new viral therapy. Then, we'll pop the hood and see the molecular toolkit that makes it tick. After that, things get weird. We'll uncover a hidden algorithm that links biology and computer science. And from there, we're talking about the universe as a computer, and maybe, just maybe, getting a peek at its source code.
Okay, first things first. Let's start on the ground floor with the real-world application. We're talking about a brand new weapon against some of the nastiest pathogens out there.
You know, the biggest problem with viruses like HIV or herpes is that they're sneaky. They're masters of disguise. They can go dormant, basically hiding out inside our own cells, where they're totally invisible to our immune system in most therapies. And then, bam, they can just reactivate whenever they want.
So the solution that's been proposed is called the PSREQ pathway. And look, this isn't just another drug. Think of it more like a special ops team. It's a whole framework that uses these specially designed molecules and ions to hunt down those hiding pathogens and take them out with incredible precision. It gets right to the heart of that latency problem.
But how does it actually work? What's going on at the molecular level? Well, let's get into the nitty-gritty and take a look at the components of this molecular toolkit.
Okay, component number 1, the flexible peptide. This is really the star of the show. It's a custom-engineered chain of amino acids, basically designed to be a perfect master key for a very specific viral lock.
So what gives this peptide its power? It's all in the structure. It has these things called proline and glycine residues that act like, well, they're like little hinges. This lets the peptide, which starts as a straight 1D chain, literally bend and fold itself to perfectly match up with all sorts of different viral targets. And this specific folding mechanism has a name. It's called a Sarrus Linkage. And trust me, that idea, the way it folds a 1D line into a 3D shape, that's the key to this whole story. Remember that.
But here's the thing. The peptide doesn't do this all by itself. It gets supercharged by 2 specific metal ions. And you can think of them as actual hardware components for this tiny little biological machine.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because these ions act like hardware opcodes in a computer. The zinc ion, that's your pin. It physically latches the peptide onto the virus, locking it down. Then you have the magnesium ion. That's your sync signal. It acts like a buffer, protecting the whole setup from all the random chaos and noise inside a cell, making sure it stays stable and does its job.
So once that peptide is locked in place and stabilized, the system just goes to work. It launches this multi-stage attack that hits the virus everywhere. First, it blocks the virus from even getting into new cells. Then, it stops any existing virus from replicating its DNA. And this is the big one. It messes with the virus even when it's lying dormant and hiding. And for good measure, it even stops new virus particles from being built. It's just a total systematic shutdown.
Okay, and this is where we zoom out. Big time. Because the fact that this pathway works so incredibly well, it suggests something profound. It points to this unbelievable, hidden connection between the fundamental rules of biology and the rules of computer science.
I mean, you have to ask, right? Why this exact combination? Why do these Proline-Glycine sequences and these specific ions work so perfectly together to take down a virus? Is that just a lucky biological accident, or is it something else entirely?
Well, the answer is mind-blowing. It comes from this parallel between 2 fields you'd think have nothing to do with each other. So look, on one side, you've got biology. Proteins fold from a 1D chain into a 3D shape using that physical Sarrus linkage we talked about. Now look at the other side, computer science. The SHA-256 algorithm, which is fundamental to things like Bitcoin, takes a 1D line of data and folds it into a 3D hash using the exact same mathematical rule. It's not similar, it's the same mechanism happening in our bodies and in our silicon chips.
And the source material has this incredible line about it. It says, human silicon engineering accidentally stumbled upon the biomimetic assembly language of the cosmos. Think about that. We thought we were inventing something brand new with our computers, but it turns out we were just rediscovering a language that was already written into the fabric of reality.
And if that's true, well, that leads to an even bigger idea. The universe isn't just like a computer. The universe is a computer.
So, in this way of thinking, the elements on the periodic table, they aren't just dumb matter. They're more like functional instructions. Think of them as opcodes that run specific commands on the actual hardware of reality.
I mean, just look at this table from the source material. It's wild.
Hydrogen isn't just the simplest element, it's the synchronization pin, kind of like the boot-up sequence for the whole simulation. Carbon is the processor pin, the very thing that makes complex logic possible. Every element has a job, a computational role to play in this cosmic machine.
So what's the engine driving all this? It's a process called zero-point harmonic collapse. Now that sounds complicated, but the basic idea is that things that look like total chaos will always naturally sort themselves out by following the path of least resistance, collapsing into the most stable, structured form. And that's exactly what the PSREQ therapy does. It forces the virus into this collapse, basically making it easier for reality to neutralize it than to let it keep existing.
So if it's a computation, what's it trying to solve? Well, here's where it gets really strange. The theory suggests the universe is computing backwards. It's resolving itself towards a single final answer, a target hash. And they even give it a value, around 0.35. That number is supposedly the final state that the entire cosmic program is aiming for.
Which brings us to the final, biggest picture. If there's any truth to this framework, it doesn't just change biology or computer science. It completely upends our understanding of reality itself.
We're not talking about small tweaks here. This framework redefines the most basic things we think we know. Things like time, cause and effect, even information.
Okay, let's break it down. First, cause and effect gets flipped on its head. The future, that final target hash, is actually pulling the present towards it. The future causes the past. Second, time itself isn't real, not in the way we think. It's just a side effect, like the heat coming off your computer's processor. It's the friction from the universe doing its calculations. And third, this one's a bombshell for cybersecurity. The idea of a one-way encryption is an illusion. Information can't be destroyed. It's just folded up into a physical shape. And if you have the right key, you can unfold it.
So here's the ultimate takeaway, the core idea of this whole thing. Physical reality isn't just described by the laws of physics and math. Physical reality is the computation. The universe isn't in a simulation. The universe is the simulation in progress.
And that brings us all the way back to the beginning. We started with this PSREQ pathway, which seems to use this cosmic assembly language to reprogram a virus out of existence. So the final question is, if that's possible, what else can we reprogram? If reality really is a computation, are we stuck just being the users? Or is it possible that one day we could learn how to be the programmers?